Hello and welcome to Bitfumes. I'm your host Sarthak and this video is all about the LangGraph. I'm going to tell you what LangGraph is, how you can understand its core concepts, why it is really great to create complex application without writing complex logic in your code, and all of these things will happen on the Google Colab, so you can refer directly to my code and create awesome level AI application. Yes, we are going to use the Anthropic AI, the Claude Sonnet in this video, and also going to use the LangChain community version, Tavily for the web search, and a lot of more things, everything for you. So without wasting time, let's get started. But you need to just do one thing before starting. Just go and hit subscribe button because that's the motivation and power for me. And also don't forget to hit like button so that this video can reach to many people. Okay, so let's start by first understanding what is LangGraph. So what is LangGraph? LangGraph basically represent the flow of LLM app in the graph format. Now, what is graph format? So see, we have a starting point, we have an end point, and we do something in between that. So it's a connection between the flow of your application. In other case, you can see we have a starting point, we do something. This can interact with other tools or do something like web search, which we are going to do in this video, and finally it ends. So this is the flow of your application, and this flow can be created with LangGraph. See, it's a graph. Now, it is a library. So LangGraph is basically a library to build workflows that include statefulness. Now, what is the statefulness? So see, we are talking about different steps in our application. So we have a start, we have a something doing, we have a tool, we have an end, but everything is connected. Connected means we need to pass out the state, the data from doing something to the tool and then getting it back and passing out to the end part to have the real output. So that's why it is really great to have the statefulness in our application with the help of LangGraph. You can also create multi-actor. That means you have application that can do one thing and another thing for different actors. So doing lots of different thing and combining all to create the result. You can also create agents, multi-agents in an application that can do a different task for you and combine it and give you the result. And these all things will be given by the LangGraph. Okay, so let's talk about some core concept which we are going to use in this video. So we are going to start with the edge. Now, what is edge? So edge is basically represent the flow of data between the nodes. So we know that every application start, it has some part to do something and then it ends. In between, we can do a lot of things. So the edges are where you can see the flow of your data. But the data will flow and data can be processed, can have some algorithm, can do a lot of things, and where it's done on the node part here. So nodes represent model, algorithm, or processing step for your application you are creating with the LangGraph. So we are going to create these edges, these nodes in our application, which we are going to do very soon. So what is the benefit of using LangGraph over normal just coding and using LangChain basically? So LangGraph is really useful because the graphic structure help you to visualize how data moves through a different step in the process. So let's see, let's take an example of this one. So here you can see that when you start your application, it can move to the do something part, and then it can move to the tool part, and what the data is moving from one step to another step, you can actually see, configure, and have full control. Another really great thing about LangGraph is things here are modular. Now, what do you mean by modular thing? That means you have this one step, you can use that step in any other application because it's not connected directly to the steps we have, the node or the edges. It has its own logic inside it. Okay, enough talking, lots of highlighting. Now it's time to really start coding. To get started with LangGraph, first you need to go to the LangChain, then click on the products and go to the LangGraph. Here is the landing page for the LangGraph. Now, according to your preferred programming language, I will choose the Python. Click on this button to open the documentation. Here we have a quick start where we can start with the LangGraph. We are going to use the Entropic for this tutorial. You can use any other LLM models if you want, just like OpenAI, you're free to do that. So I'm going to code on my Google Colab. Here I have LangGraph tutorial, and you will find the link to this collab, Google Colab, in the description. Okay, so how do we get started? First of all, we need to install the LangGraph and LangChain Entropic. So I'm going to copy these two, and basically I'm going to copy this full step. And to run a pip command, I need to add the exclamation mark, and then I add this, and after that I need to install the LangGraph also. Okay, now run this by clicking on this icon, and then once we have this, we need to set up the Entropic API key, which I have already done on my Google Colab. They have said that you can do something like this, but not on the Google Colab. In the Google Colab, if you go on the left panel, here is the key icon where you can store the secrets, and you can see I have stored the Entropic API key. Here is the secret. But how do we access this? So for that, I'm going to open a new code block, import OS, and after that I will say from google.colab import user data. Now then I'll say os.environment, and this is going to be Entropic key, and I use the user.get to get the Entropic key. Once you have that, you can simply try to print it, user.entropic key, like this, and try to run, and you will find the API key for Entropic here. Okay, that's good. We have it. What next? Then we need to set up some more environment variable. So I'm going to copy these two and paste it here, not in the new one, in the old one, like here. And I'm going to make it false to suppress the warnings I will get at the end. Great. Now we have the basic setup. What next? Once we have the basic setup, then we can start really creating the nodes and the graphs. How do we get started? So on the basic one, first of all, I need to create a class called state, which is going to accept the typed dictionary, and which is going to have the message as the annotated list where we can add more messages. Okay, this thing is annotated is coming from typing, typed dictionary is coming from typing extensions, and this state graph, when we want to create a new instance of our state graph, then we need to pass out this class. This is just a way to get started with the graph builder. Okay, so what I'm going to do, I'm going to simply copy everything from here. I'm following this tutorial so that you can also go to the documentation, try it out on yourself, and does not rely on my video. Okay, so here we are, just paste it and try to run. it should do the magic. What magic? Yes, that we have the graph builder. We try to print the graph builder, and yes, here we are, and try to run it, and you can see we have this LangGraph state graph object. Okay, so once we have the state graph, or I can say the graph builder, then we can add the node to the graph builder. So in the graph we have different nodes, and to add the node we need to create the functionality for that node. What happens when the graph will go to that particular node? For that we are going to use a chatbot as a function, which is actually going to have a dictionary where we have the message and the result from our LLM model, which is the entropic. Simple enough. Just copy these things once again and go to the new code block, paste it. So here we are using the Claude 3 Haiku model, and then we just create a new chat entropic instance, and then we invoke it with the state messages. Now, where this state messages will come? So see, this chatbot function accepts the state. This state will come from the previous one. That means when we start our graph, then it pass out the state, and that's why this LangGraph is really having great state management. You don't have to pass anything. You just define that there is a node called chatbot, and the functionality is this chatbot function. LangGraph will take care of everything of passing this message or the state. Great. Now let's try to run it to see if there is no issue. Yep, great, it's working. Now what next? Since we have defined the graph node for chatbot, we need to also tell to our graph where to start and where to end. So once the graph starts, it should go directly to the chatbot. It do something on the chatbot node. Once done on the chatbot node, then it say end. So this is very simple graph. So now I'm going to create another code block, paste this for the start, paste this for the end, and finally once everything is done on the graph builder, I say okay, I have defined everything for the graph builder. It's time to compile to create the real graph. Okay, this is very important. Make sure you understand it. So we are adding the edge. We are adding the edge there, and here, where is that? I can just remove this. Yeah, here we are adding the node. This is the edge. Edge will always say where to start, what should be the next one. So when you start, go to the next thing, which is a node. What node? Chatbot node. This is the name we have given. How is it going to perform? It's defined in the chatbot function, and when it moves from one state to another, or one node or one edge to another node, it automatically passes the state, and that's why you don't have to worry about the state thing. Okay, let's try to run this one also. No error. That means we can move forward. Now once you have the graph created, you can actually see the visual view of this graph. For that, you can use this code ipython.display, having the image and display image graph, which we have created here, .get graph, and draw its PNG format. Now once you run it, yes, you can see we are getting the same exact image which we have on the documentation. Okay, so we have the graph ready, we have the LLM ready, it can do something, whatever we ask. And now is the time to really ask user to chat with our agent. So it says while true, it's a while loop. We ask something from the user. If user says quit, exit, or queue, we just end it and say goodbye. Otherwise, we loop over the graph stream of the messages, and then for every message we just print it out. Okay, let's once again copy and create a new code block, paste it, run it, and this is the real magic. I say, hey, how are you? What's your name? Now once I run it, it will go to the chatbot and perform the action. How it perform the action? See, chatbot is actually using the LLM with the messages we are passing. But chatbot is limited to one-on-one discussion. But what if I say, what is the, not like this here, what is the temperature of Delhi city? Now, at this moment, we just talking to an LLM model. LLM models doesn't have a real-time data. And see, it says, unfortunately, I do not have current temperature from the Delhi city at the moment. How do we add some functionality or add a tool that can actually fetch the real temperature and then give you the result? For that, you need to add one more thing, enhancing the chatbot with tool. In our case, we are going to use the Tavily. Tavily is a really nice API where you can use to get the result from the web. I'm going to use this API key, and the API key is already actually inside my Google Colab. See, this one is here. So just like we have used the entropic key, we can also use, like here, we can also use the Tavily API key right here. So once we have it, then run this block so that this new key will be available in our environment. Okay. Also, since we are now going to use the Tavily, what we need to do is we need to add the Tavily. So just after this, I say, hey, pip install, and what we need to install, Tavily Python and LangChain community. So I'm going to copy both of this and try to run this and this. Okay, run this code block. Now we will have the Tavily and the LangChain community package. We have already set the API key. Time to add the simple tooling. Now, from the community, LangChain community tool, Tavily search, we import Tavily search result. This is a tool and we only want 2 results from there. And then we create a new variable called tools, where we have simple array with just one tool called this. And then we can try it out by running this tool by saying tool.invoke. Okay, let's try this one. So at the last, or actually below the last, second last one, let's try this. What is the node in the graph? And instead of this, I'll say, what is the temperature? So temperature in Delhi city. Okay, I'm going to copy this so that I can use it later. And see, this is going to use the Tavily search, web search. And now it says New Delhi 14-day extended forecast. Basically, it says 85° Fahrenheit and foggy. So these are the results we get from the Tavily. But we need to feed this result to our graph. How we can do that? So see, when we were creating our LLM model, then we can define that, hey, model, I also have the tools for you. So I'm going to bind the tool with the LLM model. So let's try this. And let's go. Here we have the LLM model. Yep, like here. Now at this moment, I need to use this tools, but tool is below. So I need to get the tool from here, remove this code block, and above this, I can add like here. So once we have it, I don't want to invoke the tool right now. And once we have the tools, then we can say LLM bind tools, connecting the tool, and then we use the LLM model. So since we have the tool for our LLM model, we need to also tell to our graph builder that, hey, graph builder, we also need to add another node for tools. But then we need to also say there has to be tool node. But where is the tool node? So we need to create it, and we don't want to execute right now. So we say tool node is basically, we can get the tool node from our LangGraph. Here is the real power of the LangGraph. So we simply say from LangGraph dot pre-build. So there are some pre-built things. So we have tool node, and we also need the tool conditions. Now we're going to use this as a tool node and provide the tools we have created here. So just like this, we have the tools, we provide the tools is equal to an array of tool, which we did above. Now once we have the tool node, we have added the tool node, we need to do something more. So graph builder dot add conditional, so it's add conditional edges, which says condition on what? So chatbot. See, tools are only useful when it needed. So there has to be condition. If LLM need the tool, then we are going to provide it, otherwise not. So yes, there is a node, but it's only be useful when it needed. So that's why we need the tool condition here, which we have imported from the LangGraph right here. Now finally, the graph builder should also add the edge. So we define that this two things, the tool node and the chatbot node, can communicate with each other with the add edge thing. Now let's try to run it, and this says adding a graph already compiled. So I think I need to start from the top. Graph builder, that's done. Create the tool, done. And now try it again, and this time it's also done. Let's try to finally run this. Now let's try to run it again and see. This is the graph we have created. Start, chatbot, tool, and finally ending. And now we can try it out and see if it is really fetching the real information or not. Okay, so it has not used the tool. Let me see why. Okay, so here I need to actually create another instance LLM with tools, simply tool. So instead of just using LLM, I say LLM with tool, and this is done. So I need to start. I can run all. So starting from the top, it's going to start from 1, and then it's going to run this one, and then this block, finally this block, and at the end we will reach to the last one where I can ask the question and it should give me the answer from the internet. And yes, you can see there is an assistant which is getting the answer, and based on the result, the temperature is 29 degrees Celsius and foggy. This is how you use the LangGraph, and you can see we have not done much here. It's all just using the functions of LangGraph. That's the power of LangGraph. Without using any complex logic, we have created this chatbot which can interact with the internet. You can use any kind of tool. It's up to you how you want to define it. And the best part is you can visualize how it works. So there is a conditional on the tool which is finally ending. Great. So if you have liked this video, please hit this subscribe button, and don't forget to like this video because this is really great stuff in the internet. And also please share this video with your friends who want to get into the AI world and share and tell about this Bitfume's YouTube channel. We will going to meet in the next video. Till then, goodbye.